let's begin taking a look at how we can branch our programming based on some different factors. So before this, we have been creating very linear programs that just run through a series of statements and then they're done. Now, what if we want to change what happens in our code based on perhaps what the user enters? So that's what we're going to learn in this with the most basic conditional statement, the if statement. So this is in every programming language in various ways. So what we're going to do is we'll have the user enter a score, and we'll create a simulation that relates to the world of competitive hot dog eating. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a constant here for the record, and then we'll put 74. So this is, at the time of this recording, most eaten in 10 minutes. So 74 is currently the record for most hot dogs eaten in a period of 10 minutes. So the score is hot dogs eaten by the user. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll start the program with prompting the user for how many hot dogs they ate. So cout, how many hot dogs did you eat? And then we'll see in the score. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to display different messages based on what they entered as their score. So the very basic one is we're going to see if their score is equal to 74. So we start this statement with the word if. So easy to remember, an if statement starts with the word if. And then in parentheses here, what we're going to do is we're going to put some kind of comparison. So what we want to do is we want to see if the score is equal to the record. Now, this is not right because in C++, equals is the assignment operator. So what happens here, so maybe we'll put a note about this. So a single equal sign is assignment. So it doesn't compare. Score will get the value of record. So this is not a comparison. What we need to do is if we're checking to see if something is equal to something else, what we have to do is go equals equals. Whenever we're checking to see a comparison, we need to use two equal signs. This is such a common error. Okay, so now what we do is we're going to open one of these, and this is called open curly brace. So this is a curly brace, and you've seen them in your programs, although we haven't really done anything with them. There's one up here. Also, you'll notice that there's a close one down here. So the way that the main program works is when it begins, it runs all of the code between this curly brace and this curly brace down here. Similarly, we're going to do that with the score, is we're going to set some code for it to run, and it's going to start running that code if the score is equal to the record, starting at this curly brace, and then we'll go down a little bit, and ending at that curly brace. So what we do is, and you'll notice this is the format, everything in between these curly braces for main you can see is tabbed in one level from the left-hand margin. Now, this is another code block, so what we do is we do the same thing as here, except we tab it in one space past the if. Your program will run without this, but your code will be hard to read, and this will be considered as wrong formatting. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to say is you have tied the record. and then we'll see out a congratulations. There we go. Oh, so let's run the program and see what happens. So we'll run this. Oh, set by language to C++. There we go. So here's what happens. How many hot dogs did you eat? I'm going to put in 74. And then it says, you have tied the record. Congratulations. Now I'm going to put in a number other than 74. So I'm going to put in 73. And nothing happens. So you can see these two lines of code only run when the score is exactly equal to the record. So let's put some other comparisons here. Now, we're going to put another if statement, and we will do the opposite of this. We are going to see if the score is not equal to the record. So if the score, now the symbol for this, not in C++ here, is represented by an exclamation point and then an equal sign. So how this reads is not equal. Sometimes you use this to say say not when it's not a comparison like this, but we use it for other things. So we're going to see more of that later. So if the score was not equal to the record, then we will say cout, you have not tied the record. So we can just simply put it with one line there and then leave it at that. So now the next one that we're going to do is we're going to say if the score was less than the record, we will say that you ate less than the record. So if the score is less than the record, we will cout you ate less than the record. Okay, so let's take a look at what happens when we run this. So this symbol is less than, so less than, and just to keep it consistent, I will say that this is not equal. So this is not. We'll run this program and we'll see what happens. So if I put in a 74, you can see what it does is that it goes through and it does this, but it skips over the other two because this is a false statement and this is a false statement. If I put in the number 100, it says you have not tied the record. So it checks, is the score equal to the record? No. Is the score not equal to the record? Yes. Now, is the score less than the record? No. So that's why this is the only one that's displayed. Now, if I run it one last time, and if I put in 3, I get the you have not tied the record and the you ate less than the record. So it will put both of those in this case. Okay, so now we've done less than. If the score is greater than the record, so this is greater than or more than, you can say it both ways. More than, so cout, you ate more than the record. Okay, so we've got all of those blocks. Now, what we're going to do is there are a few more comparisons that we can do. And I'm going to represent them in a slightly different way as well. What we're going to do is we're going to check to see if the score was at least 1. So if the score, and now the way that we do at least or, the other way to say it is greater than or equals, greater than or equals, we're going to represent it like this. But we're going to say 1 here. So actually I'm going to do this in a different way. When there is only one output, you can actually skip the curly braces. Although sometimes people don't like this because then your if statements look a little less consistent. So if your score is greater than or equal to 1, we'll just put you ate a hot dog, so we'll say yum hot dogs. There we go. And L. So this one, sorry. Two ways to say this. This is greater than or equal, but we also say at least. So this is at least one was eaten. So it'll say yum hot dogs. We'll put another scenario here. So if the score is less than or equal to -1, we'll just see out error. That doesn't seem like a reasonable input for the program. So this one is set as less than or equal. And the other way we say this one is sometimes at most -1. But this seems to be the more logical one to say. And then the one last thing that we can do is we can actually perform math to help our comparison here. So what we're going to do is we're going to check to see if they more than doubled the score. So here's how that would work. We're going to check to see if their score is larger than, well, what we want to do is we want to represent on this side double the score. So if we want to see if, double the record. So we want to see if score is greater than double the record. So how would we calculate double the record? Well, that is the record multiplied by 2. So in this case, we will see out more than doubled the record. Seems like a good place for all caps as well. Okay, so we'll just take a look at the output to see if everything worked fine here. So how many hot dogs did you eat? I'm going to put in 4. So it activates 3 separate commands. You have not tied the record, you ate less than the record, and yum hot dogs. So this one gets activated. Now, if we get the error, there's something that's maybe not ideal here, but we'll wait until a future video to see how to fix this. If I put -100, says you have not tied the record, you ate less than the record, and then we get our error at the end. So technically what I would love to have is it just say error and then skip the rest, but we're not quite there yet. And then if I put an unbelievably large value, so I'll say I ate 1,000 hot dogs, it says you have not tied the record, you ate more than the record, yum hot dogs, more than doubled the record. So what we're going to take a look at in future videos is how we can control this even more so that it might pick like an item from a list of choices. But this is a really good start. The if statement is the basic conditional statement that we will be using throughout most of these programs.